Welcome, listeners, to today's episode of the Black Business Roundtable. I am fired up and ready to get this show on the road. I am your host, Doug Blackshear, broadcasting to you live from the City of Diversity, Oakland, California. I'm excited, as always, to share this podcast platform with Dr. Ashley Coleman, Doctor of Psychology and sister that keeps us calm with her presence. As always, thank you, Mr. Donnie Glover of BlackUSA.News for the honor of the Black Business Roundtable being a part of your growing network dedicated to bringing a real, unfiltered news, the news. We want to acknowledge that this Friday is Veterans Day, and we want to mention some of the veterans that have previously been on our podcast. We honor and thank you for your service. Georgia candidate Marcus Flowers ran against Marjorie Taylor Greene and appeared on our show the first quarter of this year. My brother, my friend, Ray Bobbitt of the African American Sports and Entertainment Group, working to bring the first Black NFL-owned and WNBA-owned team in the nation, in the world, here in Oakland, California. Barack D. Obama Shaw, recent mayoral candidate for mayor of Alameda, and my high school friend, my brother from another mother, and the soldier or Marine who went out in Desert Storm to defend this country. Larry Lewis, retired Marine and military personnel. Today, November 10th, 2022, as noted by the National Day Calendar, their website is nationaldaycalendar.com. It is United States Marine Corps' birthday. I'm sure Larry Lewis is going to love to hear that. On November 10th, the United States Marine Corps birthday commemorates the establishment of the Continental Marine, #Marine Corps birthday. We also continue to celebrate Military Family Month, #Military Family Month, and finish our two-part series today honoring veterans. Thank you to the nationaldaycalendar.com website for these national events. Some current events of today. Oh, I hope you were watching your news, audience. Today was very powerful for me. President Biden was on the news Wednesday and reiterated once again that we are the United States of America, and he wants to unite this country. He was stately and had quite the pep in his step as he strolled onto the stage for his news update, and Wednesday as he talks about the American people and the world. He did say it would be fun to watch Trump and DeSantis run against each other. That is going to be fireworks. Audience, get ready for that one. Republicans and Democrats definitely surprised each other as there were no bloodbath and red wave, more of a red balloon. It burst. The biggest loser of the night was said to be Donald J. Trump. Trump lost, get over it. Once again, Trump lost, get over it. Donald Trump. This week's Black Business Roundtable Thumbs Up goes to the Oakland candidates that participated in the local election here in the Oakland and Alameda, California. It takes a lot even to consider running for office, and to do so especially in a populated area as the Bay Area. So kudos to those that gave of themselves for their community. Race is still in the air. The mayor of Oakland, California, and the Alameda County District Attorney's Office. This week's Black Business Roundtable Thumbs Down goes to, I had to sigh because there's a continuous battle here in Oakland to support and defend and uplift our small businesses. Companies outside of Oakland robbing businesses from Oakland-based businesses by not having their headquarters. Okay, having an office here in Oakland is one thing, but businesses here in Oakland, small businesses especially who have their headquarters here, are the ones should be certified and not the ones that are paying off these politicians. But to that end, having their headquarters here in Oakland, California, therefore bypassing the checks and balances that are supposed to protect Oakland-based businesses and jobs. So the thing to do is get the listing of all the businesses with contracts. Once again, get a list of all the businesses with contracts with the city of Oakland and start with looking up the top 25 first companies and look at the paperwork. The paperwork. The city of Oakland is being at best negligent and at worst unethical and destroying Black businesses. Look at the paperwork of those businesses to where they are headquartered. I just received Okay, audience, appear to have a little bit of technical difficulty, but I'll start off where I left off before we were disconnected. So the thing to do is to get the listing of all the businesses with contracts with the city of Oakland and start with looking up the top companies first. Look at the paperwork of those businesses to see where they are headquartered. I just received the information today. Stay tuned for the names and I will share them live on the Black Business Roundtable. And remember, if you act like a clown, the Black Business Roundtable is giving you a thumbs down. Today's show highlight, today we are continuing the conversation once again this week with one of the original co-hosts of the Black Business Roundtable, my brother, my friend, Larry Lewis, as he wraps up his two-part series today. Part 2 focuses on the benefits of joining the military and navigating the benefit so that nothing is left on the table. That means if you serve, you should get served as a veteran of the United States military. Today, we also have special guests from both the Oakland and Alameda California election. So get ready to hear it all on this first show after the Tuesday, November 8th elections. Join me and my sister for your soul, Dr. Ashley, as we give you the latest and greatest right here on the Black Business Roundtable, November 11, 2022 podcast show. My co-host and show guests today include weekly check-in with my audience. I apologize. I keep working on that. With our very own Dr. Ashley Coleman, Doctor of Psychology, tenured and immediate past department chair, assistant professor of psychology at University of the West. Next, we're going to have Larry Lewis, retired military veteran of 20 years and heart transplant recipient and previous Black Business Roundtable co-host. My brother from Alameda, Barack D. Obama Shaw. Instagram at Barack Denzel or Facebook, Barack Denzel. And my little sister, Janani Chandran Esquire, who won her candidacy, her run to represent, and is the new District 4 council member of Oakland, California. Her Instagram is at Janani4Oakland, hashtag Janani4Oakland. Once again, at Janani4, and that's the numeral 4, Oakland, and her hashtag is Janani4, and that's the numeral 4. Who explained the ranked choice voting process a couple of 3 or 4 weeks ago, Allyssa Victory Esquire, Oakland mayoral candidate, vote Victory Villanova, number 1, listed as number 7 on the ballot, Instagram at Victory4, and that's FOR Oakland. Her hashtag is Victory4, and that's FOR Oakland. And let's be clear, audience. The race has not been settled for the mayoral position in Oakland. So keep your fingers crossed. Shane Tao and Allyssa Victory will bring honor back to this city. So stay tuned, and I will keep you abreast on who is going to move this city forward. Moving forward, for the national political highlights, listeners, join us via your social media accounts to thank all the Democrats below that uprooted their lives during a pandemic to run in a political race nationally. Georgia candidates will include Marcus Flowers, Senator Raphael Warnock, and he's going to be doing a runoff with Herschel fumbling, can't remember if he had an abortion with his woman or not, Walker. And we don't need a walker, we need a runner. Stacey Abrams. And also to Florida candidate Val Demings for sacrificing time with family, friends, church family, and their jobs in some cases. Some of these races are still not over, and there is a runoff now in Georgia for Senate between Reverend Warnock and, once again, Herschel Walker. And remember, audience, the new hashtag should be, we don't need a walker, we need a runner. There is still work to do, so Georgia, get ready to get back to the polls and give Dems this win in the 2022 election midterm cycle. Instagram at Marcus for Georgia, and that's for the numeral 4 Georgia, or his website is marcusforgeorgia.com. Instagram at Raphael Warnock, and his website is Warnock4, and that's FOR Georgia.com. Oh, there go. I feel it coming down. There's her presence, audience. Take a deep breath with me. Good to see you, Dr. Ashley.
Good to see you too, Doug.
You notice my whole theme changes when you come into the room. It's like an aroma. Woo. Instagram, Stacey Abrams, or StaceyAbrams.com. And last, but definitely not least, Val Demings. Her website is valdemings.com. Once again, audience, we are so glad to see our ride or die sister, the person who exemplifies, not only here in Oakland and Alameda County, down there in LA, in the state of California, but in the United States and all across this world. Black people, don't be too proud to seek the psychological help that is needed for all of us, to be our best. And the example that I've always given since the start of this show, if you would break a leg, you would go see a doctor, a medical doctor, to get your leg fixed and repaired correctly. If you have a cavity or a toothache, and just like I went to see my dentist, you would go see a professional, a doctor of dentistry. And when you have a splinter in your brain, when you have thoughts of suicide, or you're depressed, anxiety, and especially in this election cycle, for those of you who put your lives on hold to represent, to fight, to go out there and get the votes to represent your constituents, your city, your county, your state, go see a doctor of psychology. And Dr. Ashley exemplifies why it's important that if your first doctor isn't like Dr. Ashley, you don't have to fire them, but you can tell them, you don't have to go home, but you do need to leave this room until I find the correct doctor. But Dr. Ashley, thank you for all you bring to this show. Since day one, you have been the beacon of mental health, and the advice that you have given, audience, I'm sure, has saved people's lives. Moving forward, here today, as we talk about our candidates, but before we get there, next up, and I've been practicing before you got on the show, but our weekly check-in with our very own Dr. Ashley Coleman, Doctor of Psychology. Dr. Ashley, please take us away. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. And so, as always, good to see you. Greetings, listeners. Welcome to Therapeutic Thursdays. And so, before I bring, again, our check-in today, I also want to give us some history. As always, want to credit the Equal Justice Initiative of the news of the day. This comes actually from November 10th, 1898. And on this day, white mobs led racialized a political coup in North Carolina. And so in this, what we saw is that there was a mob in Wilmington, North Carolina, that really targeted Black and white elected officials with the pressure, with the intention of having them resign. And this occurred in Wilmington, North Carolina. This group was actually known as Red Shirts. And again, their intention was to intimidate Black elected officials, but also Black voters. And this insurrection was the apex of frustration among former Confederates in North Carolina who had lost their governing power and were displacing their frustrations. And again, their plans were to forcibly regain power in the state by inciting fear. And this mob's takeover of the local government led to a culmination of 2 days of post-election violence in which armed individuals rioted and destroyed Black businesses and killed dozens of Black residents. Again, this is 1898 in North Carolina. The mob was actually led by Colonel Alfred Ward Waddell, who declared that he would, quote, choke the current of the Cape Fear River with Black bodies. And the exact number of Black people killed in the attack is unknown, but estimates are as high as 100. And at the time, then President William McKinley declined to intervene or provide assistance to Wilmington's Black residents. The mob was permitted to seize political control of the city and appointed Colonel Waddell as Wilmington's new mayor. Again, this is November 10th, 1898 in Wilmington, North Carolina. And as we know, it's not always easy to look back, especially on such a traumatic history. But now we understand, again, the urgency to vote, the privilege that it is, and what was sacrificed in order for us to have the liberty to do so. Doug?
Dr. Ashley, as always, you come in as Superwoman, Wonder Woman. I skipped that whole part. And audience, let's be clear here. Dr. Ashley and I, we have busy lives. We see each other on the show once a week.
Mm-hmm.
But I can honestly say this. She compliments me so well that I can look bad, and when she comes on, I look great. Dr. Ashley, thank you. I appreciate you. We would not have one of the number one shows on the Black USA News Network if it Black USA News if it wasn't for you. You saved me.
That we're teammates. I so appreciate you. And viewers, if you can't see me, if you're listening, but if you can't see me, my dimples are popping. There is nothing like compliments from a man from Oakland. I'm telling you, that gift of gab.
Well, let's be clear here, audience, before we move on. The Black woman has been the strongest human being in the world for hundreds of centuries. And all groups of people, white, Asian, Hispanic, and some Black men, have undervalued and underestimated the significant roles that the Black woman has contributed, not only to this great country, but to the world. So, Dr. Ashley, that comes from the bottom of my heart. And that goes out to all the Black women in the world. Keep being strong, sisters, because you have endured more than any other group of people in this world. On that note, next up, our weekly check-in with I'm slipping again, with our very own Dr. Ashley Coleman, Doctor of Psychology. Dr. Ashley, please take us away.
Thank you, Doug. So welcome to Therapeutic Thursdays. We are officially 2 weeks out until Thanksgiving. So as promised, last week I shared 3 tips for the Holiday Survival Toolkit. I want to introduce a couple of more recommendations, as well as introduce a self-care assessment. So as far as the just tips, again, 3 additional tips for ways to survive the holidays. One is be proactive. So last week we talked about looking at days or times, thinking about who is comforting to you, who gives you a good laugh, who's supportive, who do you want to be around, and being proactive and reaching out to see if you can connect with them in some way. Maybe it's tea, maybe it's connecting over a meal, maybe if it's even virtually, if in-person connection isn't possible. Another way to be proactive and to take a break from your own life circumstances is to volunteer. This has been a tough time, another tough year, inflation. Um, we are very passionate on this show about the unhoused communities. Signing up and figuring out a way to contribute to, again, your fellow humans in your community, whether it's through donations or actually serving others, is a wonderful way to reconnect with purpose. We have pain, we have problems, and our problems can be overbearing. But one of the ways we can heal is remembering that we're still here because we have purpose. And one of the ways, how can we lift up others even while we're still experiencing pain? That can be a nice reprieve and also a reminder. And then also getting out there. Seasonal depression, anxiety, it's understandable with the holidays if you want to pull the covers over your head, and that's okay. And some days that may be okay. But also, what can be invigorating and energizing is actually getting out. So, whether that's around your neighborhood, taking a brisk walk, or walking the lake if you're in the Bay, going to see someone, sometimes just getting there. We can hear a lot of doubt thoughts of, no, I don't want to, it's not, it's gonna, and then we get out there, we're like, oh, I actually needed this. I needed the fresh air. I needed to see scenery. I needed to be by the mountains. So getting out is a nice way to kind of shift the monotony, being in nature with proper, I know it's cold, but being in nature can be grounding, by water, mountains, just connecting with things that are outside of yourself. So those are, again, 3 tips for the holidays. And then as far as self-care, especially because I'm looking forward to our candidate segment, Doug, I just want to introduce areas of self-care, and I'll be highlighting these things as well. So some areas of self-care domains are physical, psychological, emotional, social self-care, spiritual self-care, and professional self-care. So today I'll highlight physical self-care and just have you mark down, put a check mark if you've been doing these things. So under physical self-care, and this isn't to shame anyone, but to think of where are you, where might you need some improvement, or where are you doing well, some things to try out to boost your mood, especially as we enter the winter season. Eating healthy foods, taking care of personal hygiene, exercise, wearing clothes that help you feel good about yourself, eating regularly, just even eating is important. Participating in fun activities. This can be active, walking, dancing, sports. This also can be indoors activities, but what are participating in fun, getting enough sleep again, going to preventative medical appointments. So if you have insurance or have access to medical professionals, this is a great time before those benefits roll over, doing an end of the year checkup, resting when sick, and overall physical care. And then just quickly to psychological and emotional self-care, taking time off of work or school or other obligations. Do you have vacation time that you haven't used? Participating in hobbies, getting away from distractions. Phone and email can be engulfing. Is it okay for you to do a do not disturb and have boundaries around phone calls and technology, especially at night, to make sure you can induce sleep? When's the last time you've learned something new, unrelated to work or school? Expressing your feelings in a healthy way, either through talking or art or journaling or music. Recognizing your own strengths and achievements, right? So a lot of us wait to the end of the finish line to give ourselves kudos or pat ourselves on the back. What about the process? How are you talking to yourself as you show up every day or go for the goal? Day trips, doing something comforting like rewatching a favorite movie, taking a long bath, aromatherapy, finding reasons to laugh, talking about your problems, and just overall checking out and asking, what do I need today? So again, that's physical self-care and psychological, emotional self-care. And in the coming weeks, I'll be highlighting other areas of self-care. And then 2, in this upcoming segment, Doug, I'll be trying to fit in a question with our candidates who've sacrificed blood, sweat, and tears and time, and how they are recuperating from this election season.
Well, audience, I used to be a instructor at the College of Alameda, and one of the things that I like what you do, Dr. Ashley, you being a professor at the University of the West, you tell them what you're going to tell them. Then you tell them what you told them. That is what makes you an outstanding doctor of psychology, and I'm sure one of the top professors at the University of the West. Audience, you heard it here. Take care of yourself, because if you're not healthy, you can affect others with your mental unhealthiness. Is that a fair statement, Dr. Ashley?
That's a fair. So we just wanted to, take care of ourselves. And then that way we can model that to others that we care about and encourage them to take care of themselves. And also therapyforblackgirls.com, therapyforblackmen.org, 988 if you're experiencing a psychological crisis or a loved one is experiencing a psychological crisis. And also you can text 741-741, which is a crisis hotline. So again, we have 24/7 outlets of support during this holiday season. Do not go through it alone.
Audience, as we are right on time, and I want to sidebar so much because of all the election spectacles that are going on here in the Bay Area, but I'm gonna stay on course today, because we have our exciting guests behind the stage or backstage, and I want to make sure we get him out here and let him know how much we appreciate him. And audience, it takes a lot to run for office. It takes time, it takes money, it takes mental stamina as well as physical stamina. So here today, candidates from Oakland, California's November 8th mayoral race, the Oakland City Council race for District Number 4, and Alameda Mayor race. Welcome back, Allyssa Victory Esquire, new City Council member Janani Ramachandran Esquire, and our very own Barack D. Obama Shaw, our Bay Area Barack Obama. And as we move forward, we're going to keep pushing his name, because that is going to be a name to be reckoned with in Alameda and throughout the county. Welcome back, Allyssa Victory Esquire, still in the running for mayor of Oakland, and has come up to number 4 in position 4 as they do the ranked choice voting here in Oakland, California, as Allyssa had so eloquently outlined how that goes. And the man, the myth, who has such a subtle passion but a big fight in his heart, Barack D. Obama Shaw. Welcome back, you two. I know both of you are glad that it's 2 days after.
Yeah, still recovering. But happy to be here.
Dr. Ashley, please, the first question, fire off our well-deserved candidates who put their whole lives on the line to represent us and have politics instead of politics. Thank you, Dr. Ashley.
No, thank you. And Doug, I just want to join you in saluting Allyssa and Barack on your efforts. First of all, your time in coming to visit the show, getting us familiar with your platform, sharing your visions with, our listeners. And as Doug, summarized so well, the blood, sweat, and tears. Now that you are 2 days out, how are you digesting and recuperating? Any lessons or reflections emerging since then? So Allyssa, I'm gonna put you on the spot, and then Barack, we're gonna come to you first. But Allyssa, what have the last 48 hours been like for you?
Thank y'all for having me. Thanks for talking with me along this campaign trail about the issues, about getting out the vote. So much. I feel great coming out of this campaign. So I know that I ran with integrity. I stayed true to my values, to my people-centered platform. I stayed true to not taking corporate dollars, and we can talk about that a little bit more. But I, ran really honest campaign, really honest with my opponents. I didn't need to attack anyone negative. The slate is not over. The results are still being counted. We have less than half the ballots are counted. My ballot has not been counted. So there's a lot more to be seen. But the last 48 hours have been me sleeping, right? Replenishing myself. I literally, spent a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. I fell one of the last few days and took a lot of splinters to hand and finally got them all out today. Make sure there was no infection and got checked up. I'm just doing a lot of self-care and healing and able to finally rest, because I was out all day, every day, talking to voters, going to events, trying to register people to vote. And so it feels a little weird to kind of just sit and be waiting for results. But I'm definitely grateful for being able to just take a moment to reflect, to rejuvenate myself and replenish myself and to get back into the fight.
Yes, so it's so nice to hear you say replenish and address that self-care. We wish you healing too with your hand, but it sounds like also you are processing how much energy, effort, what you deposited into the community. And you did just that. So there was definitely a marathon. So we thank you for starting us off. And then Barack, what have the last 48 hours been like for you?
It's been well, I have an exciting announcement to make. At the end it came, but at first it didn't. So make sure you remind me. So it's been you kind of, for me, I was, I'm tough on myself, and I was like, well, I should be, I should be better. I should have took more actions and all of those types of things, and being upset with myself. And then it's a part of me that's like, well, don't be so negative, that kind of thing. And I think that's just a part of it, it was a cold and rainy day. I was out there all day long, out in the rain, got rained on 3 or 4 times, and so it was just grueling, physically. And but then so that was the end of the day, and I kind of just wasn't feeling into it, was just kind of out of it. And I got me a good night's rest last night, and how things happen for me is like I kind of go through the storm, then there's a big announcement, a big something, a new future that's created. So inside of everything that's happened, it's now instead of something sad or so for me, now it's something positive due to my new announcement.
Well, I'd like to say to both of you, win, lose, or draw, you need to commend yourself. And as Dr. Ashley said, and as I continuously say, we have tricksters out there representing us. And it takes a true American to even consider running. And I saw you the other night, Allyssa, at Pamela Price's campaign watch, election watch, but it takes a considerable amount of energy to deal with some of these backstabbing, backdoor dealings, corporate bought people who are saying they are representing us, but they are representing corporate interests. And I know the two of you both, and I believe Janani Ramachandran is backstage. We would like to, she's going to be up soon. We need to commend you two, and appreciate. And let me just say this before I ask the next question, because my producer's texting me, stay on script, Doug, stay on script, Doug. We're on time. But Janani Ramachandran lost her first time out.
Mhm.
She just won this time. So liken this to, they pitched the first ball fast and you missed it. But I guarantee you, on the Black Business Roundtable, we will keep your name hot.
Mhm.
You hear what I said? Not hot, hot out there, so that our audience can say, I know who to vote for the next election, because we have got to get some of these jokers out of office and get strong constituent representation, such as you two. So moving on that note, is there anything? Yes.
So I said my announcement inside of what I'm creating next. So I wanted to make sure that this show will be the first show to hear my announcement. And my announcement is that I'm running for governor of the state of California in 2026. That's what I'm up to.
Audience, and you heard it first on the Black Business Roundtable. Not only have we had a president, Barack Obama, we're going to have a governor of California, right. Barack Obama, because I think Newsom is going to be terming out. So that we are going to publicize until the election. Thank you. That's huge. That's huge. I can see it.
It's happening. So while everybody's turning off, I'm just starting. I'm turning up.
Congratulations. And audience, you heard it here on the Black Business Roundtable.
So thank you guys.
No, we thank you. We thank you. We're going to hold this show. So when you become the governor, we want to be have our own media in your office. Okay.
You will.
For both of you, is there anything any of you would do differently if you chose to run again, or when you run again for public office? Thank you.
This is a great question. I don't know if I reflected long enough, but I would say no. I left it all on the table. The only thing I wish I had more of was just time. Like, there's over 400,000 people in this city, and we actually have pretty low voter registration in many of our areas. And I was doing a lot of just voter registration throughout the summer till election day, getting out the vote, still finding whole houses of people that didn't know they had the right to vote. And that's the first step to getting someone to vote for you is them knowing how to actually exercise the franchise. And so I would have just loved more time to engage our actual residents, to get more people to understand what was at stake and to be registered and ready to vote.
And I'd like to say that, Barack, before you answer this question, you and I had a conversation just the other night, and I was smitten when you told me that you didn't go up in the hills where people already had cast their vote or knew who they were voting for. You went down in the flatlands of Oakland. And tell our audience briefly what you did when you went to household full of people who were not registered to vote, who were returning residents, etc. I was, you know what, audience, these are the types of politicians who we need to start voting for. Allyssa, please share that briefly with our audience, what you actually did to get people engaged who have been forgotten in this city of Oakland, California. Thank you.
I did do traditional outreach in the hills, but I absolutely put real intentional effort and time into being more in the flatlands and areas that have low voter registration and turnout. We had bilingual volunteers, students even, who came out with us, especially through the summer. We would set up tables outside of our public libraries. Especially in summer, they have free meal programs. So there were adults to children that were going every day to get food from these public institutions. So we would have our table set up to provide people with information. Even if people said they were already registered, we would remind them, there's an election coming up. This is what's going to be on your ballot. And people stopped and were grateful. They would be shocked to see that there were students that were out there talking to them about voting when they themselves weren't allowed to vote because they're not 18 yet. We're also talking about Oakland Youth Vote and how it wasn't implemented yet, but should be. And so we were talking to our high school students. We were outside of schools, right, talking to parents, talking to families. And we absolutely did a strong field game of going door to door. And when we found people who said, I can't vote, we would ask them why, right? Some people said it's because of citizenship, which we can't really change or navigate them through on the spot. But many people said, oh, it's because I'm an ex-felon. The law changed 2 years ago. I'm a criminal justice attorney. I was armed with voter registration forms, with voter registration links on my website directly so that people could easily access that information from the state or the county registrar. And if people did not do it on the spot, I would come back. I would come back to their houses and make sure they completed that form. Some people, I waited for them to fill it out and I submitted it myself. Other people, if I had their neighbors walking with me, I would tell their neighbor, go back to that house and make sure that those people registered. Because again, that's just the first step to getting your ballot, to knowing how to fill it out and submitting it on time. And so we had to have those real conversations directly with people, asking them why they weren't voting, why they weren't planning to vote. It's not that they just didn't want to. Many of them did not know that they had the right. Even when I told them, so many people were hesitant because it says it's a felony, right? If you're voting twice or if you're violating our laws. So people are scared of getting criminalized for exercising their right. And these are people who are formerly convicted of crimes. And so having that real trust, talking them through my work as a criminal justice attorney and an educator at San Quentin Prison, help them understand I know what I'm talking about. I can cite the sources, help them go and pull up my website or the voter reg links right there. And so understanding how to talk to people, not being afraid to ask and push them a little further to share that information, and having the resources ready on the spot, not expecting them to come find me or to do it themselves, but to literally have the forms or have the link available, I think is something that was really easy to do and that I really have challenged all candidates, all of my opponents in this race, to be registering people to vote and getting out the vote so people understand how to use their rights.
Oakland, California, County of Alameda, State of California, and United States of America. This is a politician who wants to represent all the people, not just the affluent people and the corporate donors. Congratulations on your strong effort to include everybody in the democratic process. Thank you for sharing that, Allyssa. Mr. Barack B. Obama Shaw, the same question to you. Is there anything, that you would do differently if you chose to run again for a public office, sir? Thank you.
I would say yes. Things I would do differently. Not to well, first of all, I had to establish a foundation. Nobody knew me. No, you couldn't Google me and find out who was this guy. So I had to have a foundation for people to even understand that there is some guy named Barack D. Obama Shaw.
Well, that's how I met you. In front of Trader Joe's. I thought what you did was so grassroots that I had to stop and say, who are you and what are you doing? And that's how we met. But that's where it starts. Go ahead, sir. But I wanted the audience to know we have these multi-million-dollar funded candidates who send out flyers and brochures, but we don't have grassroots candidates running like you and Allyssa Victory and Janani Ramachandra. Go ahead, sir. I just wanted to let our audience know how I met you.
Yes, that's how we met. And so I would spend more time just with the people, going out, meeting people door to door. I was doing that, but really doing that. And, looking at meeting, say 250,000 people or more physically, one meeting these people and hearing their stories, what it is they're dealing with, what is it they need assistance with, and doing rallies all over the East Bay, because now people are like, we're in Oakland and other cities. I wish we could vote. I wish we could vote for you. Like, well, now you can. Now you could definitely vote for me. So that's, you know, one of the major things I think that I'm going to do differently is really look at meeting as many people as I can and hearing their story, and you know, and treating them the way I'd like to be treated. And I think that, well, I know that's going to come across a million times stronger than a piece of paper. Glossy piece of paper of a guy smiling at you when someone is actually knocking on your door. Boom, boom, boom. Hi, I'm running for governor. Let me talk to you for a minute. That's going to be memorable for people.
And last but definitely not least question, any advice for anyone considering running for the first time for public office? Thank you both.
I would say preparation is key. You know, preparing yourself. Personally, as you said, it takes a lot. It's a labor of love. It takes a lot out of your personal life and your family. And so having those conversations and those expectations early. And I just think, you know, making sure you understand what it's going to take to win the race, talking to people who've ran the race before, right? Even regardless of how endorsements came out, so many people who had been mayor before or who had ran for mayor before talked to me, just talking about their experience, talking about their challenges, gave me their advice and mentorship. So I wasn't reinventing the wheel, right? I'm not the first person to run for this seat, and I won't be the last. And even talking to people in other cities, going to my candidate training programs, and just talking to other women who are running for office. Again, understanding what I was stepping into, what to expect, how to best prepare myself. There's still never going to be a way to be 100% prepared. There's a lot of tricks and scares and things that are just unexpected on the campaign trail, but still, as much as you can prepare, again, yourself and what you want to do, and chart that out even before you know, make announcements or spend money, I think is really key. And especially running a grassroots campaign, to really talk to people, right? Get people invested in me running before I even launch something official, and have them give me input, have them give me their advice was really invaluable for me, just starting out on this trail and knowing where to start. Because that led to recommendations for people to be a campaign manager or treasurer, how to set up my website, or how to set up a lot of different things that I needed once I became an official candidate.
I remember you 4 years ago, young lady. Remember we were running with Pamela Price, so yes. I remember back then you kept your little notebook in your pocket, and me and you come and look at us now. So
I could volunteer on another campaign. That was really critical for me, to just be a volunteer, to see like what volunteers are needed to do, have some background of like, I'm not the candidate and it's not my campaign. And that was helping me just understand the in and outs without it being as stressful on me as of being my own campaign. So yeah, we met a while ago, and people know that I'm true to my word now, because I told people years ago I was going to do this. Now they see me following through.
Barack, before you answer, I just want to say something to Allyssa, woman to woman and town resident. And, you know, I've done my research on you, and you're a real one. Your victory lap is coming. You're walking in that. That's your victory lap. You're already walking in that, because it's the process. So we wanted, one of the reasons why we were hoping to have Janani come to the conversation today, and Doug, you spot on talked about it, and I thought about you, and the results are still pending. We know of your race, but we remember watching Janani the first time around and how she felt after, and her then giving herself the recuperation. She traveled, she took that time out, that self-care, and then came back, as Barack is saying, in his commitment to the next race. And so often what victory can look like, pun intended, is just going forward with lessons and experience, and that doesn't stop the goal. But you've been in the trenches, your reputation in the town is well spoken of people in our age group and what you've been doing. And so that fruits of the labor, just like Nipsey, just keep that playing. It's just feedback.
Thank you. I received that. So again, just appreciate y'all. Appreciate those words.
Barack, same question. Any advice for anyone considering running for the first time for public office?
The advice I would give is to trust yourself. It's like I trusted myself. No one told me to run for mayor. I just trusted myself. Or now running for governor. No, I trust myself. Because people, a lot of times they're going to tell you their opinions, what they think, and it's you can hear those types of things, but it's best. I think it's best to start finding out what you think, and how you see it, because that's what people are going to be listening for anyway. They're going to be listening for, do you have muscle behind what you think? Do you have muscle behind what you say? Or is it something repeated from what somebody just gave you last night? So it's a difference. So trusting yourself and knowing that your experience is unique. No one else is going to have the same experience you have, and having fun, not taking yourself too serious all the time, but lighten up you with yourself. Don't beat yourself up for making mistakes, because you're learning. And that would be the advice I would give someone.
Audience, you heard it here on the Black Business Roundtable. Not only do we follow business, we follow politics that creates good business in government contracting and electing officials like these two people here, who took the last 2 years, up to the last 2 or 3 years out of their lives to represent us. Audience, remember, Allyssa Victory Esquire, victory for all of us. And Barack D. Obama Shaw, we need another Barack Obama.
Hey.
And we're rooting for you as we conclude this segment. Thank you both from the bottom of my heart. America, these are the type of politicians you need to be looking to represent you in America today. No more politics. We want fair politics. Thank you both for coming on the show today. Thank you.
Thank you, and congrats again on your run. Have a good night, y'all, and I'll see you soon.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. I'll see you later.
Thank you, Barack.
All right, Doug. Well, I'm going back into the field. It's Therapeutic Thursday, so I'm hopping back in clinical role, where I'm excited for you and our next guest to have part 2 of the man-to-man conversation, especially in light of Veterans Day being tomorrow.
Well, I wanted to bring Larry on because he talks about you like you his therapist. So
oh my gosh, Larry, it's so good to see you.
I need a therapist. How you been?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I got things on my mind.
All right. Well, listen, I know that you're gonna light it up as always. I'm going in trying, but it's so good to see you. So again, I'm turning it over to you to have a conversation. Light it up, gentlemen.
Thank you, Donna.
Love you, Dr. Ashley.
All right, me too. See you later.
Bye-bye. We're going to take a quick break here to acknowledge our master of this Black News podcast. Thank you, Mr. Donnie Glover of BlackUSA.News. And be sure to tune in to Chap and Friends on Mondays, Party Marty, Let's Talk on Tuesday, Black USA Crypto News with my brother, Kamal Hubbard, on Friday, as he knows all about blockchain and cryptocurrency. And on Saturday, live from New York, The Blackout with my sister, Tajmir, and Sunday, 60 Minutes in Black USA with my new brother, Michael Haney. Now, back to the show. Let's welcome back to the show my brother from another mother, my high school friend and wrestling partner, my lifetime amigo, and early co-host of the Black Business Roundtable, Mr. Larry Lewis. Let's welcome him back, folks. My brother speaking on Veterans Day.
Hey, y'all.
How you doing, Larry?
Good to see everybody. Good to know you're here. I'm doing well. All right. Just glad to be here with you all, having a good time, talking about our peoples.
Well, let's break right into it. First off, thank you again for your military service and for educating our audience by leading this two-part series as we acknowledge Veterans Day this month, November 11th, and celebrate Military Family Month with Larry Lewis, retired military veteran of 20 years and heart transplant recipient. Retired over 20 years in the Marine Corps as an aircraft maintenance data system analysis. That's a mouthful, my brother.
I'm saying, huh?
Desert Storm veteran. I mean, this brother was out there when they were running across the field, and the Marines were the first ones to charge in there. Desert Storm veteran. He has advocated for domestic violence victims and a counselor for those fighting substance abuse. He pursued his passion and earned his teaching credential and furthered his studies with 2 master's degrees. Man, you amazing, man. 2 master's degrees, one in curriculum and one in instruction and educational leadership. Recipient of the Cedars Sinai Cardiac Total artificial heart and also a full heart transplant, and is living life to the fullest. Last week we discussed why our guest joined the military, why the Marines, why does he think other young Black men don't consider joining the military? Can a Black man make it in the military? Challenges faced in the military, benefits of joining as an 18 to 21 years old of age, and why he stayed in the military for 20 years. Welcome back to the show, Larry Lewis. Woo!
Hey,
Larry.
Be back.
This week we are discussing the benefits of joining the military. And I want to say this briefly. A lot of our brothers, specifically young brothers, say, man, I'm not joining them. I'm not going out there and fight for them. So Larry, can you start off and tell us what benefits are provided based on various factors? For example, and for instance, honorable versus dishonorable discharge versus bad conduct discharge versus dishonorable discharge. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Doug. Thank you for your introduction, brother, and allowing me on the show for today. Hey, I thought about the best way to try to provide the information for your audience that's going to be best for them and how we might go about doing it. I can tell you right now, regarding your question that you asked me about the various factors with the honorable, dishonorable, other than honorable, for the most part, I wanted you to know that those are different avenues that a person may or may not fall into when they get ready to leave the military. All right. But if you have a bad conduct discharge, we call that a big chicken dinner. All right. Or if you have a dishonorable discharge or other than honorable discharge, your resources, your benefits are going to be very minimal. All right. If any. All right. Because you didn't fulfill your obligation. All right. You signed on the dotted line, possibly when you were 18, and you said, this is what I'll do. If you do this for me, then I'll do this for you. It's a trade-off. When it comes to the military, it's a trade-off. There's something there that you want, all right, and there's something they need from you. You're going to protect our country, and that's what you vowed to do. and follow the rules and regulations and the laws that have been established. All right. Now, if you don't do that, all right, then you fail to fulfill your obligation, and they don't owe you anything at that point. Now, in the event that, and when they contact us, what they say is, it's like having a rich Uncle Sam. That's what I call him. It's like having a rich Uncle Sam, because I didn't have this Uncle Sam prior to joining the military. So by joining the military, he told me that there were some benefits that I was going to be able to receive. And so what I think would be best for us to do is to talk about the benefits. I put them in categories. So the first category would be like the first term enlistee. And that kid is 18 years old. Okay, stay with me, brother. All right. Now, first thing I want you to know also is that the military is an honorable profession. You know, you are actually serving your country. And you don't think about it until you find yourself defending the country. When you find yourself over in a theater where we're about to have a war or any type of campaign that we're about to have, and you're there to defend the country, and your CO, your commanding officer, says to you and the rest of your troops, gentlemen, tonight we go to war. That means all of a sudden, all the things that you heard about in the past, all those things that you maybe watched on TV, now it's happening to you. And after you have defended our country, now you begin to understand the importance of what our military has to offer and the decision in which we've made. So I want to take that and I want to start off with, let's look at the first term enlistee, brother. All right. That brother comes in, and one of the first things he's getting is freedom. He's getting a chance to breathe. He's getting a ticket out of the ghetto. He's getting a ticket from poverty. He's leaving poverty and dysfunction and apathy and abuse and illiteracy and hustling, all right, and gunplay and set tripping and that ghetto bird that's flying around. He's getting away from all of that. That dysfunctional environment that he's in is difficult to move forward. That it has no resources. We have no resources in the hood.
None. I am so glad. I didn't mean to cut you off, Larry, but I'm so glad that you articulated the benefits that many of our young African people, both men and women, are facing in the urban cities that's designed by the government to see them fail, not make them fail, but see them fail. So can you reiterate what you just said, because that was powerful, man. Powerful.
I've got more, brother. It's been a setup from the giddy up. All right. These young brothers, man, while they're in high school, before they get to high school, already got 1 foot in the game and 1 foot in the pen, if not the grave. All right. And we know that. And so there's a group of kids that are found in the middle. See, we got to make decisions, and they have to make decisions. Are they going to continue to go and live that life? All right. And if they have not prepared themselves for college, all right, then they have their options are limited. A big part of this is getting out of the dysfunction. And if you can get out of the dysfunction, now you can start to operate. You can start to articulate. You get some independence, all right? And now you can become that adult. You're transitioning into the adult realm, all right? From adolescence into the adult realm, all right? And that having that military provides a place for you to sleep day and night. You get a place to eat 3 times a day. You got some money in your pocket. These are the benefits. You get an occupation or vocation that you're going to be able to move forth in. You know, you spend basically, you have a 9-hour day with a 90-minute lunch break, so that you can work out and do whatever. You're going to get to travel. All right. I remember, and a lot of this story is about my adventure in the military, because there's so many variables. I can't really say what everybody else is doing. All right. And I didn't get to exposed to everything, but I got exposed to a lot of things. And I'm kind of from my point of view, these are the things that I was able to do while I was in the military. So traveling, before I was 19 years old, I was already in Okinawa, Japan, Korea, Philippines. You know, at 19 years old, we overseas. All right. There are educational benefits when you in the service and when you out of the service. This is the first term enlistee. After 3 or 4 years, he leaving. All right. So you got educational benefits while you in tuition assistance that pays for almost all of your education. And then you got the GI, post 9/11 educational plan, which also provides more opportunity for you to go to school. So school is being taken care of. We have to get to a point where we no longer are afraid of that education. And even if you failed in high school, all right, you have to find a way to overcome your inability to learn or your unwillingness to learn. All right. And it's just a matter of sitting down and prioritizing it. There are health benefits when you first get to the military, whether it's your dental or your medical or even your mental. All right. But you also have 3 or 4 years to grow up and develop a plan for your life. You know, years of preparation for the real world. You get to do, and then you leave with an honorable discharge, veteran status, and some work experience.
So would it be fair to say, Larry, for our young brothers and sisters who are watching, and the parents and grandparents and guardians, for the young brothers and sisters who are watching, and the parents and the guardians, etc., accountability.
Right on money.
Accountability.
That's our target population, and you're right on the money. It's accountability. It's time to grow up. At 18, you too old to be in your mama and daddy house. All right. If your father there, he probably pushing you out the door anyway. All right. And your mother, you know, she love you, so she gonna pardon you and let you stay there on a couch for a little bit longer than your father probably would. All right. But now it's 18. It's time to go see life. It's time to live life. It's time to grow up.
Next question we have for you, Mr. Larry Lewis, because man, you are knocking it out of the park.
Praise God.
I have heard, praise God, I have heard some horror stories from young people. I'm not going to military. You have given key examples for those of you who are running in gangs, getting in trouble with the law, not doing well in school. The military is an option for you can change the direction of your life and be held accountable. Black young people, many of them are not held accountable.
That's right.
Thank you, Larry, for bringing that.
And let me share this, brother. You know, all we have to do is plan. The same way people are planning to go to college, there's a career resource center at the high school. If they went and realized that, okay, I'm probably not going to go to the college, all right, but I think the military might be a way for me to get out and get away. They can go in the Career Resource Center and plan the same way the colleges are planning and have everything on lock. See, with the military, it's all about your scores. If you have good scores, there's all kind of opportunities for you. I mean, literally, I could not write them all down. It was that many of them. All right, where you can be in a better position in a matter of months or a year or so, where you can get yourself together. But the problem is often when we go in the military, that everybody ain't trying to get themselves together. All right, they come from one group of the homies. All right, they get in the military and they form up another group, the brothers who really ain't ready to go and do something right now. All right, they just want to hang out for a little, and that's okay because they're growing out of it. Because eventually, bro, what happens is you have to make grown-up people decisions. Right. All right. And one of the decisions that you have to make is after 3 or 4 years, the big decision is what are my options now? That's a choice you got to make. Life is built on choices and decisions that we make. So what are my options? It's time to go. I did 3 years. All right. I see what the military has to offer me. I see what the hood got to offer me because I'm going back. You know, I'm just now 18. Just now 20, 21, 22 years old. It's time to go back. I got to make a decision. So what are my options? So on one hand is what the hood got to offer me, and the other hand is what the military got to offer me. Now, let me tell you what was on the table for me. All right, at 21. First of all, I could choose another job. So I no longer had to climb poles, what I was doing on my first 3 years. Then there was a promotion available. So instead of being an E4, I became a sergeant at 21. All right. There are leadership opportunities. There was a bonus, a $22,500 bonus Uncle Sam offered me. My rich Uncle Sam offered me. I changed and went to another duty station to the air wing. And everybody wants to be in the air wing where the aircraft are at. Then I got an apartment at 21 with my boy. We came together and got an apartment. Bought me a nice new little shiny car. All right. Now keep in mind, I'm 21 years old. All right. So when I met my wife, who was smart and became a teammate for me. See, now I start separating from the homies, all right, and start being about taking care of business. You know, that's what happens, all right? Age 21. So, you know, at that same time, there was more travel during that next hitch, all right? So they said 6 years. If you give me 6 years, I'll give you all these things, all right? So I went back overseas, traveled some more, went to Hong Kong, Okinawa, Australia, Hawaii, Alaska, you know, just bouncing around a little bit, went on a ship for 6 months, you know, a little bit of time overseas. Got my honorable discharge. I got me an AA degree. All right. This is my second hitch. All right. My first child was born. You know, healthcare, dental care, need that stuff for your kids. You know, need life insurance. Excuse me. And we bought our first home. In the second, and that was the second enlistment. I know I'm kind of, you know, rambling on, but I want you to know that this is what happened in the second. When I made the decision that I'm gonna stay for another 6 years, because the other what I was being offered, the other option that I was being offered is, well, you can go back home, all right, but there's nobody there, so you're gonna have to find a place to stay, all right. You probably could do that, all right. You got to find a job, all right. You're gonna hook up again with your partners, all right. Love my partners, but you know they wasn't doing nothing. Some of them were.
Well, let me ask you this question.
All right.
I got a couple of questions, and I want our audience to get a full meal and dessert of what you have to share that will, these young people who are coming out of high school, who are sitting on the fence, don't know what they're going to do. And we talked last week about brothers hitting a lick.
Mm-hmm.
So we're moving past that. We're talking about brothers and sisters being in a position, joining the military like you did, and turning that into success. So my next question for you is, we have often heard the term of disabled veteran. What does this really mean in regards to a disability and benefits? And what does 100% disabled veteran receive? What does a 100% disabled veteran receive? Thank you, Larry.
Okay. All right. So we would be jumping a little bit ahead because, like I said, I had to change the format a little bit because I wanted to be able to ensure that you could see every evolution. So the first one was from 18 to 21 years old, and that's what they had. That's what they received. The second hitch, all right, that's the re-up, all right, and the re-up was really about, these are some things that they offering you, all right. Now after the re-up, you basically have 10 years in the military.
Wow.
So the question is, what can Uncle Sam do for you now? Well, first of all, you already halfway to your retirement, and everybody wants to be at the retirement. Now, like I said, this is the lifer. This is the guy who's halfway to retirement. So now he has to make another decision. Am I leaving at 10 years or am I going to stay, all right, and continue? And now there's always a carrot that's being dangled. And this is just another carrot that's being dangled. Okay, if you stay, what can you get out of the deal? So I negotiated pretty much with the military the whole 20 years.
Wow.
So on the third enlistment, or the second re-enlistment, it became a matter of this, Doug. All right. We're gonna give you another promotion. Instead of being an E5, we're gonna make you an E6. All right, a staff sergeant. All right. Just a little extra money, not much. All right. But we also are going to send you to the Staff Non-Commissioned Officer Degree Completion Program. All right, you qualify for that. And essentially that's saying for 18 months, I want you to go take your uniform off and go home.
Wow.
You don't have to come to work. We'll still pay you. Matter of fact, we're going to give you an extra $400 to help you through college. Now,
wow.
and that's they call that I&I duty. And so to be able to get out and go to college, start a business while I was out there, a tax and notary business, all right, be working in the community, because I only was going to school maybe 2 nights a week. And the rest of the time I was able to explore. Now that becomes another option for you. All right. You got kids. All right. You know, you got a wife at the time, you know, you're no longer traveling, but you at home and you taking care of your business at home. You know, this is when we bought our second home.
Well, let me that brings me into another question that one of our audience asked. What benefits, if any, are offered to dependents of veterans? Thank you, sir.
Yeah, well, dependents are going to receive some benefits too. Most of their benefits are not until you retire, though. I mean, they have the benefit of an ID card, all right? But this is kind of a succession. So after you become a lifer, they call it a lifer. Then you go through and you get to retirement. Now, once you get to retirement, that's when other benefits kick in. There are literally 6 categories, brother. All right. First of all, you got the kid who comes in, all right, and he's just there for the giddy up. He's just there for a first term enlistment. Then you got after that, and then you got the re-up guy. He's doing the next 5-6 years. Then you have the lifer who's trying to go the distance. All right. Then you got the retiree. All right. And then after you get the retiree, then you start talking about disability. Because if you're disabled while you're in the military, you're going to be getting out of the military. So the process is kind of systemic. All right. After you finish a lifer, after you finish going through that stage, then you have your last stage before you retire. And your last stage before you retire is like your twilight tour. So in order to explain it, I needed to break it down. Now I'm going to break down disability because I'm disabled now. I'm 100% disabled through the military. All right. And that brings all kinds of benefits, amazing benefits. But if you just bear with me just for a little bit longer, I'll be right where you want to be at. So now after you finish your as a lifer, after you finish going through more benefits that they've given you to stay in, and I needed benefits to stay in. I was after 10, you're probably gonna stay anyway, but I wanted benefits, so I continued to pursue things that would allow me to achieve those benefits, to receive those benefits. And school was the thing that was most important to me before I retired. I wanted to make sure that I had a college education before I retired, so I pursued school. A lot of people pursue rank. All right. Since rank was slow for me, I said, forget rank. I can prepare to leave here in another 5-6 years and be prepared to walk out into the world and get paid and do the things that I wanted to do. And that's essentially where my pursuits began to be more focused. So, ultimately, I'm there now. After the I&I duty, brother, I went to work for civilians instead of working for the Marine Corps. So I was in the Marine Corps, but I was working for clinicians because my degree is in psychology. So I was working at the Family Service Center with clinicians. So that's like a billet outside of a military structured minute. And I was a go-between. Since I spoke the language of the psychologists, at the same time I spoke the language of the Marines, I was the go-between. So I would explain to.
So, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but so would it be fair to say that my brother from East Oakland, Sobrani Park, see, only a few people know what Sobrani Park is on this.
Yeah, exactly.
The military, you went into the military, and initially they were they thought they were working you, and you figured out how to work them.
That's right. That's right.
Man,
Every time they had something, I had something. Give me this.
I am thoroughly impressed with this conversation today, because our young people feel that if they go into the military, that they're not going to get anything from it, and they don't have any end game. You not only had an end game, but you had an after party after your end game.
You know what? And these are skills that, you know what? These are skills that you learn in the hood. This ain't nothing but hustling. That's what we learned on the street. You know, I just learned how to do it legally, bro.
You know what, Larry? I'm impressed, man. So let's move to another part of this. What are some of the recreational benefits that veterans qualify for?
When you say recreational benefits, I'm wondering what exactly are we talking about?
Well, I hear that military people who leave the military, they get a lot of benefits as it relates to discounts.
Oh yeah,
for traveling, discount for going to different countries, and that would be. So you did all this work in the military, and so what was the recreational benefits? What were, other than traveling to all across the world, but the things you were able to enjoy with your family?
I was able to enjoy the public society. That was one of them. I never really lived on base. My family never lived on base. We always stayed away from base, and I think that's why it was easier for me to make the transitions that I made back to civilian world, because it's a tough transition for particularly Marines. All right, because that's the way we go at it. As far as recreational opportunities, I mean, they're the same opportunities that this is basically. I was living a civilian life in the military, bro. All right, because I've been at least 40 miles away from the base for 16 years.
Explain to our audience what you mean that you lived a regular life being a military person, because a lot of people don't understand. They think that once you're in the military, you got to click with military, you got to hang with military. You know, your family suffers. There's been negative portraits of, if you're in the military, you become an alcoholic, you become a wife beater, your family suffers. So explain to our audience, and specifically those who aren't ready to go to college, aren't ready to be accountable for their life, hooked up with neighborhood punks and thugs like we all, we know what we're talking about, hooked up with
absolutely.
How are you able to break that tie, use the military to build your generational wealth?
Yeah, I think, bro, you just have to have a different heart. You have to want something more than what you see. I mean, we see it, and we make choices as to whether we want to slip deeper into it, all right, or pull away from it, all right. And I never really wanted to be in it. I was in it because of necessity. So I had to get in the hustle game for necessity, so I could get some money, so I could get paid, so I could do some things, so I could have some things. All right. Well, when I got out of high school, I know I didn't have to do that no more. I could make my own choice, right? And I didn't want to be going to jail. I didn't want to be trying to do homicides. I didn't want to be a homicide. All right. My goal was to live and not die.
You didn't want to have to hit any licks.
No, didn't want to have to do none of that, And I knew the best way. And like I said, this was partially a family business, So for me, my parent, my father, my brothers all went in the military. So, I wasn't afraid of the military. And I knew there was going to provide an opportunity for me to get out. My father used to always say, man, I just remember, I didn't spend a lot of time with him, but he used to always say, boy, you go to the military, and military make you a man.
And I'm glad you articulated that. Audience, you heard it here on the Black Business Roundtable with our special guest, friend of the show, my brother from another mother, high school homie, that the military will make you a adult, a man or a woman, hold you accountable. Because so many of our young brothers and sisters, they want to be rappers and songwriters. And let me be clear. That's just like saying I want to be an NFL football player or NBA basketball player. The chances of that are similar to winning the lottery.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and they running around with pistols, showing up pistols and stuff in their hands and whatnot. And there's just another way. We don't have to be victims of our own making. We don't have to be that.
Let me ask you this: are there any civil service benefits for veterans?
I'm sure that there are. I never really had to experience many of them because I never went to the civil service. But hiring opportunities are there. It's pretty easy to get a job in the military as a civil servant. When you come out, first of all, you get extra points. All right, to get into it. All right, and but it all boils down to, again, what are you going to do with yourself? What is going to be your vocation? Well, why were you created? What's your purpose? What will you do in your lifetime? And learning is something that we shy away from. We don't have the luxury of shying away from learning. Whether you go to college or the military or anywhere else you go, you're going to have to learn something.
Exactly.
All right. And so it is a skill that we have to. And I mean, I believe that it boils down to being able to put these kind of resources in the school system and providing opportunities for our young teenagers, our high schoolers, especially sophomores, juniors, and seniors. Provide opportunities for them to understand and know that these resources are available.
Well, you were very clear when you pointed out the additional benefits. And last week, I'm going to bring into this week a little bit when you said about buying a home. As we know, in America, banks have discriminated, predatory discrimination against blacks, redline blacks, lowball valued our homes. Tell our audience how beneficial it was to get that GA bill to buy your first home and your second home. Thank you, Larry.
It's off the hook. Essentially what they're telling you is...
Hold on. Mm-hmm. Say that again. Audience, I want you to listen very carefully. How beneficial was it for you being in the military to get that GI Bill or that government assistance program because you were in the Army? Can you say that again, brother?
Yeah, man. Yeah, like I said, it's off the hook. It's very easy. You are in a competitive environment now because the government is saying this: the first 25% of your loan, we got you. In other words, every bank, anybody who's financing you, they know that don't matter what he do, the first 25% of the loan of the home, the government is backing him and saying they're going to give it to you if he don't. Wow. That means you could walk through the door without a down payment, without worrying about closing costs. They don't even care. Now, the VA will tell you how much you are allowed to spend. The VA loan is. They may say, well, you can get a $450,000 home. But you also have what's called CalVet. All California veterans have another loan that's better than the VA loan. And they don't care how big your house is. If you have the money, then you can have the house. Wow. So you walk right through the door when everybody else is trying to compete and your stuff is already on lock. As soon as they hear you got 25% of your loan on lock. Wow. That's what happens with the VA loan. And it's not beneficial right now when kids are not trying to buy houses. But when you're trying to buy a house, it's essential. It's very beneficial. Amazing. And you get to take advantage of that.
Are there active duty advancement opportunities for veterans?
Man, that's like the question regarding I was on active duty and I applied for a program, the Staff Non-Commissioned Officer Degree Completion Program. I applied for a lot of programs, but before I could apply for those programs, I needed to boost my scores up. The scores I got when I came in 1980 were not high enough to put me in a position to get some of the things that I wanted to get. So over that time frame, in the re-up process, I went back to school and I finished my AA degree. So I began to score a little bit of knowledge, and then I took a test, a week-long study period before I took another test. Go ahead, Doug.
Let me ask you this question, because some of our audience may not know the lingo. We know what re-up is,
Okay.
whether it be in the hood or in the military.
Right,
Can you break down? Yeah, hey, we know what re-up is. Can you explain to our audience what re-up means as you are relating to in this story here? Thank you.
When it comes to the military, you do your first hit, you do your first 3 or 4 years, all right? Like you said you would, all right? When you complete that first 3 or 4 years, all right, now it's time to leave or re-up. If you re-up, you're saying, give me 3 or 4 more, give me 5 or 6 more. That's the re-up. And so once I did the re-up, then, it's like, okay, well, I got to make this pay. I didn't stand in here, just to keep doing what I'm doing. But like I said, in the re-up, I was able to get an apartment, no longer in the barracks, get me now. I'm out there 21 years old and I'm living like an adult.
What is the biggest problem for youth of color and distinction? Thank you, Larry.
You know what? In the military, there's still defiance. There's defiance in the high schools. There's defiance in street, all right, with Popo, all right. There's defiance in the military. A lot of people are not trying to hear nobody trying to tell them what to do.
How did you? Well, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but how did you adjust? Because I know how a hard head I was, and all of us back in the day. How hard was it for you to make the adjustment to be yes, sir, yes, ma'am? Because that I hear from a lot of young people, oh, I ain't saying yes, sir, yes, ma'am, or I ain't doing this. Tell our audience, specifically the young people, men and women, and their parents and their guardians and their grandparents, how to teach these young people how to adjust successfully. Thank you, Larry.
You know what? We get a lot of examples. I was watching a show the other day, and it was about Montford Point. All right, Black Marines back in the First World War, actually in between the First and the Second World War. All right, who during a time where our country was still segregated, our military branches were still segregated. All right, and the things that those Marines had to go through, just like the Tuskegee Airmen. All right, the things they had to go through to prove themselves. All right, you asked me a question about whether or not a Black man can make it in the military. A Black man can make it anywhere he's willing to put in the work and do what he has to do. Sometimes you have to sit still and just watch people and learn and grow. All right, and your opportunities will come, and you're not going to allow anybody to disrespect you to a level that you can't fathom it. If something like that takes place, there are opportunities that you have. There are people you can see to talk to about the challenges that you're facing. All right. Now they're gonna try you. People gonna try you. All right. But you're a man. You stand up. You learn how to stand up on your own 2 feet. All right. You learn how to operate in systems that we are going to be dealing with white folks all of our lives. So what's the big problem? All right. And if you don't learn how to deal in a multicultural society, then you may never move forward. So there's no time like the present.
I and I apologize. I stopped you from answering the previous question about advancement opportunity, because Audience, let's be clear. In the Black community, we have language that other nationalities and communities don't understand. That's why I wanted you to articulate re-up. When I say re-up and you say re-up, and in any urban area in America, when you say re-up, everybody knows what re-up means, and it could be
Give
a
me some more.
positive or negative. And you did it
Yeah.
positively. Can we go back to this last to the question before I interrupted you? Are there active duty advancement opportunities for veterans?
Yeah. Yes, there are. There are all kinds of programs. If you want to be, I applied for the warrant officer program. That was another active duty program. Essentially, you go up for a board. We submitted names, and it's very interesting. This will tell you a two-part story. We submitted our names to be on the warrant officer program. I submitted a lot of packages to a lot of places because I was tired of going overseas. I went overseas 6 times, all right? And I knew that I was supposed to 3 times, and then you get a 3-year break, all right? And I'm moving back and forth away from my family, all right? And so it's becoming a problem for me that I keep leaving, all right? So I get overseas, and I start applying. I retake my tests, I boost my scores, and I start applying for everything: drill instructor duty, recruiting duty, working as a teacher at the NCO Academy. I mean, I got warrant officer program. I got degree completion program. I'm throwing everything into the mix, and I'm applying for a 1-by-1. Or the warrant officer program was a program that I got that I was sent up for. And my CO, I mean my officer, my quality assurance officer, didn't really like me very much because I opened my mouth and said some things to him that he didn't really like for me to say, right? But I said it anyway because he was sweating me, and I was telling him the truth, but he didn't want to hear the truth, right? Which is that I've been on 3 pumps. I've been overseas 3 times in the last maybe 5 or 6 years, but he hadn't been on any. But he trying to get me to go on another one. So I let him know some things, and he let me know some things. And so I got into a little situation. So when I got ready to submit my package for the warrant officer program, he submitted me number 11 of 12. I mean, I was the second worst person that he sent up for the board. Now, this is a board you go up the next echelon, and you get in front of people and you speak to them, all right, and you show your military knowledge and character and all that. Well, I came out of that board number 6 of 41. None of the 11 that came before me in our squadron were even on it, and I was automatically sent up to Okinawa, Japan, to meet the sergeant, to run a 7-mile run with the sergeant major and have breakfast with the general, all right, where he would interview us and then we would go again. So a 7-mile run, I trained for that 7-mile run. I was 30 years old at the time. Just before I got ready to go up for the board, and I was set, and that was my plan: get out of that cycle that I was in. Just before I got ready to go, that same guy who didn't like the fact that I had said some things to him pulled me out and sent me back to Iwakuni, Japan. I never got to go and meet the colonel after training for 3 or 4 weeks, all right, and getting ready to run my run. Never got a chance to see the general. Never got a chance to go up for the board because he didn't want me to excel. So he was shooting down everything I was applying for. But there was one thing that he couldn't shoot down, and that was that degree completion program that I told you I left for 18 months with. So when I got back, I received that. That was a program that was available to me as a active duty military member. All right. There are all kinds of programs that are available. They are numberless. Anything that you might want to do, any field that you want to get into. If you want to go back and you want to go to OCS, all right. If you want to change your
what is OCS?
That's Officer Candidate School. You ever see Officer and a Gentleman, the movie? Well, it's Louis Gossett and Richard Gere, and that they was at OCS. So depending on what you want to do, I found that it's pretty much wide open to do whatever you need to do in the military within certain confines, right? If you decide I want to get in the legal field, you can transition right over to the legal field. All you have to do is make sure you're qualified.
Audience,
So
you've heard
it's
it
on
here.
us.
Audience, you heard it here from my brother, from another mother, from my high school buddy, pal, from my friend for life. Larry Lewis, you have been a wealth of information here today on the Black Business Roundtable. Audience,
Thank
if
you.
you have a young person in your home who's graduating from high school that has not determined their plan after leaving high school, that needs accountability, that needs to break that tie. Oh, go ahead, Larry, please.
I just want to say one thing. When it comes to preparing them, it would be advantageous if that student could hook up with a military retiree, let's say. You're going to get information from the recruiters. But I took my younger brother through the same process where you can take them on base and let them see what it is they want to do. You wanted to be a mechanic? Come on, get in a car. Let's drive to the motor transport and let's see what they do. Let's talk to a guy who made the decision that you made 2 years ago or a year ago. Let's talk to him. Let's not talk to the boss. Let's talk to the guy that's only been in for 2 years. Let's find out what he does. Let's find out what his promotion options are. Let's find out if he enjoys what he's doing. All right. And by being able to do that and even prepare my younger brother for things like when he got in, that he would already know and be ahead of the game. All right. Gave him an opportunity to step in knowing and seeing just before. And he ended up spending 10 years in it. He ended up going from motor transport to C-130s and being a crew chief on the C-130s. And
what's
being a
what's a C-130?
That's the big airplanes.
Okay.
The cargo carriers.
Gotcha.
All right. So yeah, he's flying all around the world. All right, on these C-130s and transport passenger transports, and loving life, doing exactly what he wanted to do.
Audience, as we wrap this wonderful, outstanding, awesome interview with Larry Lewis, retired Marine Staff Sergeant from the United States military. All the opportunities for those of you who have no idea what you're going to do when you get out of school, not ready to go to college, do not have a job, and hooked up in gangs and affiliations that will be detrimental, and that you'll be a statistic in, excuse me when I say this, but I'm going to keep it real, in the white man's world. White people, not all of them, but many of them would love to see you get caught up in the game and be incarcerated because, as we know, the prison pipeline is a money-making private sector machine now. So, Larry Lewis, thank you from the bottom of my heart. You have given invaluable information to this audience here today. As we wrap it up here today, sir, I want to say thank you for all your service to this country. We want to have you back on the show to continue many, many, many more great ideas and avenues, alternate avenues for those of our those young people in urban areas, in rural areas who do not have a clue what they're going to do. And if you don't have a clue about what you're going to do, you're going to get caught up in the game. Is that a fair statement, Larry?
That's a fair statement. And I want you to know, brother, I'm available, man. If I spend my time now trying to help young people transition to adulthood. Well, if I can be of any help to anybody, you know how to get a hold of me.
Audience, you heard it here on the Black Business Roundtable. Send us your email. Send us an email at BBRT. Once again, send us an email at BBRT2021@hotmail.com, and we will forward it to Sergeant, Staff Sergeant, retired Marine, Larry Lewis. So, Larry, if I get into a problem, I'm gonna call a Marine and say, Larry, I need you, man.
All right now. All right now.
Hey, I love you, man.
I move a little slower these days, but
hey, that's
but
okay. But hey, you may move a little slower, but you're still moving.
Yeah, brother. That's right.
You're moving. As
That's
long
right.
as my daddy always say, long as you look up, you can get up.
That's right.
Larry,
That's right.
Thank you for being on the show today. We
pleasure.
appreciate you celebrating Veterans Day with the Black Business Roundtable, and we humbly ask that you come back on the show in the future and continue to educate our audience on how the military, Marine Corps, look at it. We'll see you next time, Larry, on the Black Business Roundtable. Thank you, my brother. God bless, and have a great Veterans Day tomorrow.
You too. Bye-bye now. Marine Corps birthday today.
Oh, that's right. We acknowledge that at the beginning of the show.
Okay.
Stay strong, man. Thank you, man.
Too. You too. Love you. Bye-bye.
Love you too, Larry. Audience, as we wrap up today's show, I want to say this. If I had known what Larry was doing, I might have been into the military my own self, because he has taken full advantage of the opportunities that the military has to offer those Black men and women, boys and girls who are leaving high school and do not have a clue of what they're going to do. So I hope you share this show today with those high school graduates and even those who have failed college. There is a viable option for you. Join our Black Business Roundtable advertising family, or to be a possible guest on the show, reach us via our email at BBRT2021@hotmail.com. Include your company name, address, website, and company phone number and social media page info to our email address. Once again, that's BBRT2021@hotmail.com for vetting consideration. Visit our online friends of the show on Instagram at Millennial Democrats. Hashtag Millennial Democrats, who calls out politics and politicians. Later this fall, we hope you will join us on the Black Business Roundtable. Our favorite law student delivers his experience from a Black man's perspective on Instagram at The Mask Law Student, hashtag The Mask Law Student, on his YouTube channel. Thank you, Dr. Donnie Glover, and I want to say that twice. Donnie Glover, you are the man, because if it wasn't for you, we would not be educating a national and international audience on issues that impact the Black community. So once again, thank you, Donnie Glover, at the blackusa.news, his website, and be sure to tune in to Chap and Friends on Mondays, Tit-Tilling Tuesdays with Stacey Dennis, Party Marty Let's Talk on Tuesday, Black USA Crypto News with Kamal Hubbard on Friday, as he knows all about blockchain and cryptocurrency. On Saturdays, the Blackout live from New York with my sister and my friend Tajmir. And Sundays, 60 Minutes in Black USA with my brother, and I see you checking us out today, Michael Haney. And once again, thank you for allowing me to be on your show 3 weeks ago, where you had 4 men articulating the challenge that a Black man has in America, just not here in California. To join our Black Business Roundtable advertising family, or to be a possible guest on the show, reach us via our email at BBRT2021@hotmail.com. Include your company name, address, website, company phone number, and social media page info to our email address. Once again, it's BBRT2021@hotmail.com for vetting consideration. We have a network of shows hosted by Mr. Donnie Glover, such as Black USA News Morning Show, Donnie Glover Show, People Over Politics, Political Cipher, Data Mall Sis, and I hear that's a hell of a show. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but once again, Date M All Sis. That's funny in itself. Community Connections, Resources and Gardening, The Robert Report, Shared Spaces, Frontline News, Troy Rawlings Show, The Beverly Smith Show, and stay tuned as new shows are being added. Please help us keep these stories front and center and share. Please listen to the backstory of Carlton listed below, his website, and thank you, audience, for your thoughts, prayers, messages, and donations for Carlton. Please share his hashtag, Stand with Carlton of Raleigh, NC 2022. If you would like to send messages of encouragement and to Carlton, to just email us your message, which we will forward to him. We hope to have an update soon, so keep using the hashtag Driving While Black, Michael Thrash, Taylor County TX. As we know, the police down there robbed him. They should be doing time themselves in Taylor County, Texas. Attach our podcast link from October 14th, 2021, listed once again in today's podcast description. For Michael Thrash's story, take action on your social media, click the hashtag and tag us too. Hashtag the Black Business Roundtable Blackshire and hashtag the Black Business Roundtable Dr. Ashley. And before I sign us out, the Oakland African American Chamber of Commerce President and CEO, Kathy Adams, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. We need to move away from, if you're not in my clique, we won't let you hit a lick. Kathy, you are the president and CEO of a Black Chamber of Commerce. Start representing all the people in the chamber and not just the ones that suck up to you. On that note, thank you for joining us today. We return next week with an hour special holiday cooking show with the busy wife and my friend, Chef Michane Allaire, hashtag the busy wife 2017. Last month, it was her garlic crab dip with fried pita chips. Tune in to find out what she's cooking. This show will also rerun for Thanksgiving Day. We look forward to seeing you every Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, USA, 7 p.m. on the East Coast, on the Black USA News Network on YouTube and Facebook. Thank you, audience, for tuning in. And remember, together, we can listen, we can learn, and we can share, because I know you care. This is Doug Blackshear and Dr. Ashley Coleman of the Black Business Roundtable. God bless and good night.